Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what day trading opportunities there are. You're going to see my technical analysis and my strategy, so if you're interested in those then stick around. Okay, let's start. Daily chart here. We have EU on the top, DXY on the bottom. What can we see on the daily? Well, yesterday's candle, you can see we tried to reach down and we had quite a bearish start to the day. We ended up closing, of course, near the open for pretty much a low test looking candle. We've got our previous daily high, previous daily low. Same with DXY, of course. It had this big bullish run and closed down near the open, near yesterday's high. Still a bullish close, and we have our previous daily high, previous daily low, which you can just about see has been swept this morning. Well, we don't have a massive picture obviously from this recent price action on DXY or EU. Price isn't exactly going anywhere or closing anywhere on the higher time frame. However, we've been stalled at this daily and weekly fair value gap area in this order block for quite a few days now since last week. And of course the same thing's happening in EU. Now onto the 4-hour. What I'll say is we have some early signs of a possible trend change. We had this leg here from this low to this high that I identified. This is our bullish leg. Internally, we consolidated, made a run for the highs, but have failed to make a higher high at that time. And then yesterday we had this big bearish breakdown, closing below this internal low, taking that sell side liquidity, of course, which caused us to pull back to a premium of this, say, internal leg, right? We swept that buy side liquidity, broke down and pulled back. Now yesterday you'll see that we foresaw this coming, obviously, by taking sell side liquidity and taking buy side liquidity on DXY with SMC divergence, which showed a higher low in EU, which meant EU strength possible, which may just be temporary up into this premium, we don't know. In any case, it's early signs that we're possibly, instead of going higher, we may continue to go lower. However, this low is still intact, as I said before. This low is still intact, so this high is possibly still weak. This is just some internal structures. DXY still has, more downside available for this fair value gap if it wishes to go there. However, we had mitigated this 4-hour POI and had a bit of a bullish run. Now that divergence, however, is showing possible weakness on DXY. We don't know how long that's going to last for, of course, but at the moment we can see that EU's making some sort of bullish run heading towards these highs, at least on the 4-hour. A lot of that came from this divergence, this buy side liquidity being swept on EU. Obviously we closed below this previous low here on EU, but we didn't on DXY. DXY went way higher, took way more buy side liquidity, went into an old 4-hour fair value gap, which we didn't here on EU. So that's plenty of buy side liquidity taken and created divergence. Okay, so all indications from this area of a bullish EU, bearish DXY, which I didn't get to jump in on because there was no trades that met my strategy. On to the hourly, we're seeing similar, of course, but the picture may be slightly clearer. We've got these internal legs. We had our external bullish leg here. We created that consolidation, broke higher, ended up sweeping some buy side liquidity and created a new internal bearish leg. We closed below this previous leg here, which was the higher low. So now we've got like a lower low here and lower high here, but it's still internal to this bullish leg, which we must bear in mind. However, it would still indicate, 1 hour is switching bearish. Same with DXY, we had this nice new bullish 1-hour leg. We actually closed above these highs and we've now pulled back to a discount. Same here, we've pulled back to a premium. We created this structure overnight, of course. This is the Asia. We took some sell side liquidity. Now we've taken some buy side liquidity, previous daily high, and the previous daily low is also swept on DXY. Now let's see what price does with that buy side and sell side liquidity. This could be the area that continues our new bearish run from this premium, which would make sense. We're in a premium and we created this possible new bearish leg internally. Of course, this SMC is still in place, but it doesn't mean it will stay in place forever. If we close out rejecting some of these highs and that bullish momentum of today dying out, it will look like we're going to continue that new trend we have made. Let's go down to the M15, see what structure we've made and what day trading opportunities we may have today. Just to reiterate, we've got our lower time frame picture now. We can see we had this big bearish leg on the M15 yesterday, continuing on from the previous day before. We pulled back now to this premium area here, and prices obviously swept previous daily high and New York session high. We had swept the Asia low this morning in Frankfurt, which caused this nice bullish run. The run now has obviously caused buy-side liquidity to be taken. There were some early news announcements from Germany, I believe, which may also be involved in this run here. We have quite a lot of news later on in the NY session, so that's to be aware of as well. So what immediate opportunities do we see? Well, for me, at the area we are in now and with this new bearish leg, I would probably want to see sales. Now, don't take that as this may be the daily direction. The reason why I'd want to see sales is because we're in the premium. We're taking a lot of buy-side liquidity right now. So I need liquidity to fuel the direction at this moment. So what I would want to see is price close out around here, create a structure if it needs to, sweep the high, break down, and then we get our nice pullback to the lower time frame POI to continue lower. Obviously, price is not giving much of an indication of that at the moment, so we'll get onto that shortly. Now, if price doesn't create that structure, I just need it to break down. It needs to break its lows and then come back, and then we can continue lower. Something along those lines. As long as this buy-side liquidity here is taken and it causes a break of structure, that will give some conviction to going short. Of course, there's nothing stopping price from going and taking some more buy-side liquidity from up here, which would be the top of that leg. So that would be some more significant buy-side liquidity, of course. And then I would just want to see the same thing again, right? I'd want to see price create some structure, sweep it maybe, break down, give us a little pullback and break down. Of course, we may or may not get this today, but this is what I would want to see. For buy opportunities, it's quite difficult because I don't want to buy into this liquidity. So price would have to be really nice and corrective. Price, as it's doing now, I would need it to, break up, pull back down, and give us some sort of move like that in order to be involved. Better than that would be this scenario. If price were to pull back down from here, we'd want price to maybe sweep these lows, right? You want it to sweep some sort of structure and then do the same. So you'd want it to sweep that structure, break up, and then possibly pull back down to continue higher. However, like I said, it's difficult for me to see those buy scenarios if we take all this buy side liquidity, because that would be quite a major negative. One thing I forgot to point out as well is we had this SMC at these points where we swept this low on EU and we made a lower high on DXY instead of a high high. That showed weakness in DXY, and as you can see, that played out into the strength for EU. So those are the scenarios that I see. I hope you gained value from that. If there is anything that was unclear to you, please let me know in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.